Say even louder.
What are you hoping to see from actors in the future?
Little louder. I'm hoping that they have a little bit more projection. I just hope that actors continue doing theater. I think as technology kind of spreads out and dilutes the actual process of storytelling, acting, performing, I just hope that audiences and human beings sort of gravitate back to the very simple process of storytelling between actors and live audiences. So I hope actors continue to act on stage. Yes?
The book being inspired by your dad, how have your children reacted?
Oh, how have my children reacted to the book? Mainly very positively, thank God. I worried about that a lot. I made the decision to write it about only the first 35 years of my life, so all the trouble I ran into with my kids happened afterwards. They were very relieved about that.
You have a question over here?
What's been the most memorable role of your career?
The most memorable role of my career? You know, my mind changes on that day to day, but I would say it would probably have to be the role of Gallimard in M. Butterfly by David Henry Hwang. Certainly on stage, that was one of the most memorable. In the films, some of my early stuff in movies are among my favorite. World According to Garp, the Twilight Zone movie, Terms of Endearment. Actually, I loved doing the Return of the Planet of the Apes in Vancouver, Canada, which I did last year. Yes? The question is, do I prefer funny, good, or bad? Well, for one thing, I love mixing and matching. I love roles in which a villain is funny, or in which a comical character is suddenly serious, or suddenly breaks your heart. I love throwing audiences off balance. And for that reason, I love all those things, but if I had any rule for myself at all, and I don't, since I break all my own rules, it is that everything I do should be as different as possible from the last thing I did. Just constantly surprise myself and surprise other people. But that's a very good question. Yes?
We have a question back here.
Back
Oh, John?
Yes, way in the back.
John, how are you?
Very well.
Good. I was reading that you like sports, and I was wondering, is it true that you're a Liverpool fan?
It is true, I'm a Liverpool fan.
Okay, goodbye.
I'm a Red. However, I have to tell you, as a sports fan, I'm a total whore. To be had by anybody. In the case of Liverpool, part of its new management team is my old friend Tom Werner, who is one of the producers of Third Rock from the Sun. So I'm very loyal to Tom, and now I'm very loyal to the Reds. What's your team? Ah, Man U. I feel very badly for you these last 48 hours. Who else has a question? Yes, in the front.
Since you started out working mostly in theater, how did you find the transition into film and television acting?
Well, the question is, did you all hear the question? What was the transition like from theater into film? Mostly, it was a very difficult transition. You have to learn to modulate and take everything down. I would say, of the first 5 or 6 movie jobs I had, if the constant note from the director was, John, take it down, just look, John, take it down. The first director who absolutely unleashed me and it was George Miller, who directed the Twilight Zone episode, which, as many of you may recall, is a totally over-the-top performance, because nothing was ever enough for him. He always wanted more. I was thrilled. Finally, I had a movie director who was not telling me to take it down. But it is a trend. Mainly, you just have to learn the mechanics. And it takes a while, because people tend not to teach you anything. They've got too many other things on their mind on a movie set. You have to figure out for yourself, for example, that scenes are covered from about 5 different directions. There are masters and 2 shots and over the shoulders and close-ups. You can spend an entire day, 12 hours, shooting a scene that only lasts 90 seconds. So you have to learn to husband your energies and make sure you still have it at the end of the day, when sometimes your most important work is being done and the camera is right there. Just little logistics like that. But it is just logistics. The process itself, making a scene real, is exactly the same on stage as it is in the movies.
Hi, Mr. Lithgow. Welcome to Toronto.
Thank you.
Did you ever hear about Laurence Olivier's advice on playing King Lear?
No, tell me.
Get a light Cordelia.
Yes, get a light Cordelia. I'll remember that.
Hi, John. Thank you. Welcome to Toronto.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you how you prepared for your role on Dexter, how you made that, because that was such a chilling... And it was funny. There were funny moments where you're laughing in spite of, like, oh my God, I'm laughing at this serial killer. And at the end of that story, I'd love it if you could give us a hello, Dexter Morgan.
You know, the question is, how did I prepare to play the Trinity Killer? As so often happens with television, and usually happens in movies, there's hardly any time to prepare. You just leap right into it. And not only that, but I was given the entire story of that 12-episode season of Dexter by the executive producer, Clyde Phillips, when the job was offered to me. He told me the story of the Trinity Killer in great detail, including all the big surprises. But nobody else knew that. Nobody else in the cast. Dexter is done in an atmosphere of total secrecy, and it's even kept from the actors. So they themselves didn't know, you know, the truth of that young journalist woman, things like that.
Right.
They didn't know any of these things, and I did. But that I did not have enough information to truly prepare. I had never seen a script until the day we sat down to do the first table reading, and the next morning early, I was shooting my first scene, and you remember that first scene. All I knew was the essence of the character, which was that he was almost blandly good to all appearances. He was a good man. He was a good church man. He was a good father and husband. He was a good high school teacher. He did good works. And that was a cover that masked a horrifying inner life. And I knew that he was compelled to do what he did, and he hated himself for doing it. These were very, very interesting and strong colors, and I sort of knew how to play it. But you sort of take scene by scene as it comes along and just try to keep your wits about you, trying to give it a shape. There I was, the first day, playing that horrific opening scene in which I strip totally naked and end up sitting in a bathtub full of blood with a nude 20-year-old woman dead in my arms. I met that woman for the first time that morning. How did I prepare for that scene? I took my clothes off. And as for your last question, hello, Dexter Morgan.
Shall we take one more question?
One more question, and then I'll sign.
Is there a role either on Broadway or West End London that would tempt you back to the stage now?
Oh, I'm heading back to the stage. The question is there a role that would tempt me back to the stage? My next big job is a fantastic new play by David Auburn, which I'll do on Broadway. We start rehearsing March 1st. It starts early April for the Manhattan Theater Club. It's called The Columnist, and it's about a very unusual, extraordinary character from recent American history named Joseph Alsop, he was the best-known, most powerful and influential journalist in the country, just known everywhere in the 1950s. Now he's pretty much forgotten, but next spring you're going to hear all about it. And
We
that's-
cannot wait. So thank you so much
It's a
for
pleasure.
such a fantastic reading. And thank you all for your fantastic questions.